show you, though, we've got other areas that we're concerned about as well. I had a message from one of our Facebook friends that Blue Ridge, that community up in northeastern Collin County, apparently some heavy damage up there. Several homes and structures are reporting damage earlier this evening. That was due to this. I want to show you this portion of the line of storms here. Notice it's really bowing out as it heads eastward through the Cumbie area and Delta County into Hopkins County. That is where we're likely seeing some very strong gusty winds, 60, 65 miles an hour as it continues to truck eastward here. And so this whole area, including Delta County and much of Hopkins County, continues to be under a severe thunderstorm warning. Meantime, non-severe storms here in Hunt County, including the Greenville area. Very heavy rain and probably wind gusts of 40 to 50 miles an hour. The high wind threat has ended here now in Collin County, but now it's become a big concern with flooding here. There have been some locations, especially on Highway 380 from McKinney to Frisco, that have picked up now close to a half foot of rainfall. Several high water rescues in progress in these areas, and that flood threat continues farther southward into the Garland area and Richardson, Farmers Branch, and Carrollton. It has been raining here very, very heavily now for the better part of about an hour to an hour and a half, and so we're getting very concerned about flooding in these areas as well. And farther southwest you go, torrential rain falling now from Fort Worth down towards the Burleson area. That includes Kennedale and southwest Arlington here. And once again, we're looking at this area here for a potential developing tornado. Rotation being detected by Doppler radar. That warning includes portions of Johnson County all the way eastward into Ellis County here. So Joshua, Burleson, Cleburne, Alvarado on eastward through Maypearl and Midlothian, you are under a tornado warning. It's not a confirmed tornado, but Doppler radar is showing rotation that could be a sign to us that we've got a developing tornado here, and it is moving eastward at a pretty good clip, probably about 30 miles an hour or so. Allie, if you can bring out the scope there, maybe we can try to pinpoint once again where this rotation couplet is embedded. And there you go. We've got something very interesting right here east of Joshua. Certainly some very high winds. Also looks like we've got some high winds as well up around the Forest Hill area and into southwestern Tarrant County. But this is the area we're probably a little bit more concerned about. It's just south of Burleson, it looks like right now, and in the vicinity perhaps of Alvarado. Are you getting anything from our National Weather Service chat session with some more particulars or more detailed information about this?
You know, Dan, still trying to get more information. At just a few minutes ago, a debris signature was present on the latest radar scan east of Joshua, having a tough time seeing that on radar. So each scan, we're kind of getting something different and continuing to just follow the situation.
Well, that very well could be this here. I mean, it's sticking out like a sore thumb. So if there is a little debris showing up here, it could be what we're seeing east of Joshua right here. It just stinks. It sticks out distinctly from the rest of our radar signature, and that could be potentially some wind-blown debris that we are picking up on radar here. It is just east of Joshua, just west of I-35W here. Mm-hmm. So this could potentially be either very high wind or perhaps a tornado. We don't know at this point in time. It has not been confirmed. We do know that this area is squarely now in a tornado warning. That polygon includes places like Joshua and Burleson, eastward through Midlothian, Venus, Maypearl, Alvarado. We want you hunkering down, folks. Very, very dangerous situation here. Allie?
So at this point, from the National Weather Service, a confirmed tornado located near Alvarado, moving east at 45 miles an hour. So this is their latest warning update for us. Confirmed tornado located near Alvarado, moving east at 45.
Yeah, and you can actually see the kind of little hook signature here as well. We believe the tornado is located just west of Alvarado right now, probably right on I-35W or thereabouts, and it is moving east at 35 miles an hour. So we want you in your tornado safe shelter. Very dangerous situation here. take shelter. Lowest floor available, away from exterior walls or windows, in a closet or a bathroom. Once again, tornado warning in effect here. National Weather Service says it is a confirmed tornado. Alvarado, 11:01. Venus, 11:13. Midlothian, 11:26. And Waxahachie, 11:40, your estimated arrival time. We've had reports of debris. In fact, as we look at our Doppler radar, we can actually see what we appear to be the debris signature with this. Notice our red and green couplet here indicating the counterclockwise rotation associated with this potential this confirmed tornado now, according to the National Weather Service. It is located in the vicinity of Alvarado here. It looks like it's south of Burleson along I-35W. That said, if you live literally anywhere from Burleson to Alvarado, back towards the Keene area, you are in that danger zone here. That is where our tornado is, and that tornado is moving eastward at 35 miles an hour. So heads up in Venus. And then from there to Midlothian. We want you in your tornado safe shelter immediately here. That tornado warning. What's the expiration time on that, Allie?
The warning until 11:15, Dan.
Till 11:15, so we're going to be under the gun here for another 17 minutes at least. This wrapped up very, very quickly, and that's kind of a sign of these storms tonight. You really have to be on your toes and prepared to take action here to protect yourself and your family members. So this is the tornado warning now. It is across much of northern and northeastern Johnson County into western and northwestern Ellis County here. Midlothian, all the way down to Maypearl, back west into the Alvarado area. We believe the tornado now is located kind of crossing right over I-35W in the vicinity of Alvarado here, kind of on the southwest appendage here of this storm itself, or this portion of the line of storms. A little farther north, you get into Kennedale, Mansfield, just heavy rain here that's falling. Still could be some wind gusts of 60 miles an hour, but there's the rotation that we continue to track on Doppler radar here. We'll expand the view very briefly here, because we do want to note that that is an important storm we track. That Bow Echo now is moving eastward into far eastern Delta County, north of Sulphur Springs. We've got wind gusts more than likely in excess of 60, maybe 65 miles an hour there.
They just expired that, Dan.
Just expired that, so that's good news there. We've gone mainly from a wind threat to a flooding threat here in Denton County and Collin County and northern Dallas County. Upwards of anywhere from 3 to as much as 6 inches of rain has fallen, especially from McKinney west to Frisco here. Numerous high water rescues have been reported over the last hour to 90 minutes. This is sub-severe as you head back into northern Tarrant County, but as you head into southern Tarrant County, that is severe. Wind gusts 50, 60 miles an hour, possibly a little bit greater, and then obviously the portion of the line that we're watching the most closely here is located around the Alvarado area where Doppler radar, and we're very close to this here. So we are looking at low-level rotation from our main radar there, and we believe that we've got a rotation signature here kind of crossing over I-35W, very close to Alvarado. So heads up here, confirmed tornado by the National Weather Service here. It is moving east at a good clip, about 35 miles an hour. Anything else new from the chat session there, Allie?
We're just still monitoring the situation here. This, of course, is from the National Weather Service confirmed, radar confirmed. We have not seen any ground truth reports at this time, Dan, so still waiting for that. Obviously, if you are out east of this, we want you in your tornado safe space at this point in time with radar confirmed from the National Weather Service, this tornado.
Yeah, you know, obviously we get very concerned this time of night here, being this late. Some folks have already gone to bed. That's why we urge you to have a NOAA weather radio set up by your bedside there, the tone alert system, so that when it does go off for your county, it will wake you up. But no doubt there are likely outdoor warning sirens that are going off here in Johnson County and Ellis County. Tornado warning continues until 11:15 here. The most intense part of this storm is located very close to or just north of Alvarado right now, where you kind of see that storm wrapping up a little bit. Rotation evident in there. Doppler radar indicating a tornado there, according to the National Weather Service. We have been at times also apparently showing some debris, a debris signature on radar as well. So this is the area that we're really concerned about here. It's very close to Alvarado or just north of there, and it is moving in the direction of Venus. So buckle down here. We want you hunkering down in these locations here. If you live in a home, it's the lowest floor available, closet or bathroom. If you have time to grab some bicycle helmets, maybe some heavy-duty cushions for head protection, just in case you are to lose your roof in this situation, by all means do so. But this continues to be our biggest area of concern right now on radar is Johnson County and western and northwestern Ellis counties here, kind of right along that Highway 67 corridor, or just north of there is where we have the most dangerous, potentially dangerous situation here, as this is moving to the east at roughly about 35 miles per hour. Farther north you go, it's basically just heavy rain and some wind up into Tarrant County there. Same story up here in Dallas County, quarter-sized hail, maybe wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour. But it's just south of there where those storms have really wrapped up. And then up into Collin County, the wind threat pretty much over with now. The rain has stabilized the air. We've cooled off, but the rain is still falling, and it is super saturated here now over the last couple of hours. We've already seen multiple high water rescues, and we likely could be seeing more here. And in fact, that threat is also continuing into northern Dallas County, Farmers Branch and Carrollton, still raining very heavily there. And so stranded drivers, that we could see more of that here as time rolls on here. The good news is, back farther to the west and northwest of Fort Worth, our severe weather threat is over with. The rain is also ending very, very rapidly. And so our severe weather threat is going to end tonight, generally from west to east. But we could see that severe weather threat continuing as late as 2 o'clock in the morning for our eastern counties. I would say here in the Metroplex, it's going to continue through at least midnight tonight, the severe weather threat. And then as we head beyond midnight, any rain that's falling, it's mainly going to be a flood threat for us. And certainly don't want to undersell that, as more people die in flash flooding every year here on average in Texas than any other severe weather element, be it tornadoes or high winds themselves. So there's the setup here. We've got our severe thunderstorm warnings with the yellow polygons. We've got our tornado warning with the red polygon here. This is radar indicated. We haven't confirmed it in terms of a ground truth report, but the National Weather Service, based on the radar signatures they are looking at, confident enough to tell us that we do have a confirmed tornado there, and it's wrapping up here. It looks like now it's pushing east of Alvarado here, just west of Venus. Very dangerous storm here. Could potentially be a rain-wrapped tornado. It has perhaps also been producing enough debris that we've seen it on radar here. So this is the part of the storm here. It looks like it's literally just north of Highway 67, that stretch running from Alvarado now towards Venus. High threat of a tornado here. It may briefly lift and redevelop, but we want to assume that it is still tracking eastward on the ground at about 35 miles an hour. Take this situation very, very seriously. We want you in your tornado-safe shelter here in northeastern Johnson County and also western and northwestern Ellis County. Allie?
So at this point, Dan, we're likely going to see our severe thunderstorm warnings expire when they're supposed to at 11:15. But we will, of course, keep with our tornado warning. At this point, what we're seeing take place is a lot of our rain and storms that have been north of I-20 are shifting more southward. They're not really getting a lot of that rotation in the atmosphere as much as they were earlier. So this is now becoming more of a heavy rain and flood threat. But to the south, what we're watching still happen. These storms are still oriented south to north, and they're able to tap into some of that low-level wind shear that we talk about. So that's why the tornado threat is likely going to stay a little bit higher now south of I-20, especially within this specific thunderstorm at this point in time. The couplet is passing north of Venus. So that area is heavily filled with manufactured homes. I'm getting reports of that right now. So the concern will be in this area that those folks are hopefully seeking shelter in a more sturdy building at this point. We are hoping that that is the case. So again, this is radar confirmed from the National Weather Service. When it comes to damage elsewhere, we've had reports in Blue Ridge of Collin County, home lost a roof and a partial collapse of a structure. That was around 9:30 this evening, FM 545 in Church Street. That was that Boeing feature we were showing earlier. That has since weakened dramatically and no longer severe. But again, damage, we're starting to get now information from other parts of North Texas where we have had damage. We are still assuming that the circulation is moving due east. It's going to approach Midlothian in about 10 minutes. So I do want to focus back in on this, Dan, and we'll do another storm track. That circulation moving closer just to the north side of Venus and likely right over Midlothian here in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, that is certainly, at least in my mind tonight, Allie, the most menacing looking radar signature that we've seen so far. You can clearly see that little curl there. That is likely indicating the strong rotation embedded within this radar signature here. So clearly a sign that we could still have a tornado. And for good reason, we've got the tornado warning that continues. Please, if you live anywhere in the Venus area, eastward from there towards Midlothian, we want you to be in your tornado safe shelter. Now, as Allie mentioned, there are a lot of mobile homes, manufactured homes in this area. Unfortunately, now is not the time to get out of those and to get in your vehicle and hightail it somewhere else. It's just bearing down on you right now, so you need to ride out the storm as best as you can. It's even more dangerous to leave and get in a vehicle and get out on the roadway, especially if you're here around the Venus area. Now, if you live farther east, let's say you live out towards Red Oak or Ferris or Palmer, that's fine. If you live in a mobile home there, get out right now, get to your designated shelter and take cover. But you can see clearly here our signature here, the red and green couplet indicating counterclockwise rotation. This is literally just north of Venus right now. That is Highway 67. So this is making a beeline here towards the Midlothian area. Very distinct threat of a tornado. And so the tornado warning continues through at least 11:15. And based on this signature, we could certainly see it extended beyond that. But we want you to be taking this very seriously now. We've got that tornado warning that continues here. That is the most impressive signature we've seen so far. And just as we expected, this has been extended now farther eastward. So you folks in Red Oak, about as far east as Ferris and Palmer, Waxahachie and Maypearl are now under a tornado warning. If you live in these far eastern areas, especially Red Oak and beyond to Ferris and Palmer, and even Waxahachie, if you live in a mobile home, a manufactured home, get out now, get into your designated shelter. You do not have time, though, to waste time. Get to your safe shelter. Farther west in the Venus area and Midlothian, you need to hunker down wherever you are, lowest floor available, away from exterior walls or windows. Very dangerous situation here. You can clearly see our red-green couplet indicating the counterclockwise rotation associated with this tornado that continues moving eastbound. Looks like to me it is located literally just north of the Venus area here right on the Johnson-Ellis County line, heading in the direction here of Midlothian. So these areas here are under the gun right now, certainly in a very dangerous location with respect to the rotation that we're showing you here on Doppler radar. Farther northward into Tarrant County and Dallas County, we don't see the same type of distinct severe weather threat. Yes, there could be some high wind gusts in that 40 to 50 mile per hour range. Looks like perhaps some small hail as well falling there to the east and northeast of Dallas, but no tornado threat here as you head farther north into Dallas and Tarrant counties. Just a flood threat, but we won't take that lightly either. Several high water rescues have already been conducted in Collin County, and even a few reported in the Farmers Branch, Carrollton area, and we could very well see more of that here. These are highly populated areas here, a lot of concrete, a lot of asphalt, which means a lot of runoff here. So Garland and Richardson and Plano, even into Rockwall County, a flood threat is going to continue in those areas. Let's head farther southbound. We are highlighting that area there, Johnson County, Ellis County here. A new tornado warning has been extended farther eastward, so it goes now from literally Venus all the way through Midlothian, Waxahachie, Red Oak, to nearly Ferris and Palmer on the far eastern end of that tornado polygon here. Allie, the new tornado warning, that goes probably until what, 11:45?
11:45, and National Weather Service is estimating that it is moving a little bit faster, due east at about 50 miles an hour. So I'd say we average probably on the order of maybe 40 to 45 miles an hour. It was moving a little bit slower not very long ago. So this is moving very fast due east. It is now almost entirely into Ellis County, and it's Midlothian that is under the gun here, literally in a matter of minutes.
Yeah, very dangerous situation. If you're just joining us right now, we've got a tornado warning that has been extended. The rotation was first detected in Johnson County, west and northwest of Alvarado. It is now continuing to rumble eastward at a good 40, 45 mile an hour clip. That's bad news. It's going to be on you in a matter of minutes here in Midlothian. It looks like it is just north of Highway 67, but very distinct signature there on radar. When we put our velocity scope on it one more time, you can see that red and green couplet here, which is just on the east side of Venus right now. And so our tornado is kind of heading right along that Highway 67 corridor, heading in the direction of Midlothian. So please be in your tornado safe shelter. You're in a 2-story home. You want to be on the lowest floor, away from exterior walls or windows, in a closet or a bathroom. There are a lot of mobile homes in this area. Hopefully earlier this evening, you made your way to your designated safe shelter in your mobile home park. Perhaps you're staying with family or friends. If you're in a mobile home at this point in time around the Midlothian area, it's too late to get out. You need to just hunker down where you are. It's far too dangerous to get out of that mobile home into a vehicle and try to outrun this thing. But it is heading due east here, going to be heading for Red Oak and perhaps Ferris and Palmer. If you live in these areas, you still have time to evacuate in a structure like that and head to a safer shelter. It's moving, though, at a very fast clip. So it is going to be heading through Ellis County at a very good rate of speed, about 40 to 45 miles per hour. Farther north of there, not as distinct as the severe weather threat. Sure, there are gusty winds. There's a lot of heavy rain in Dallas and Tarrant counties, but we are not seeing any rotation embedded within these thunderstorms moving through the Metroplex. The trouble lies just south, though, of the Dallas and Tarrant County lines here as you make your way into Midlothian, and that's where we believe we've got this tornado that continues to head eastward at a very good rate of speed. Allie?
Yeah, Unfortunately, Dan, if in fact there is a tornado on the ground, it's almost certainly rain wrapped at this point. So that's coming right from the National Weather Service. We're not seeing as distinct of a circulation on radar as we did even just 5 minutes ago. So if we do have a tornado on the ground, you're not going to see it. It's just going to be too late. You'll hear it before anything if you are in the Midlothian area as of right now. And you mentioned how fast this is moving, about 40, maybe 45 miles an hour. So I do want to do another storm track and see if I can get it closer to 40, just to give you an idea. This is over Midlothian at this point. Waxahachie 1133, Ferris 1146. You will be more on the north end of it, and Scurry by about 1213. So even if this is not producing a tornado, damaging winds in excess of 60 miles an hour likely occurring here.
Yeah, and you can actually see that bowing out here as well. So high winds certainly aimed at Midlothian. Hopefully this weakening rotation signature now in the last minute or two is an indication that the tornado is either A, weakening, or possibly B, has temporarily lifted. We want you to assume, though, that we still have a tornado on the ground. It's impossible for us to verify that because of the hour of night, the heavy rain that is wrapped around the circulation itself. Even if we had a spotter on the ground within a mile or two of this storm, it would be nearly impossible for them to tell us whether or not there was still a tornado on the ground or if it has possibly lifted. The tornado warning continues here for much of northern Ellis County, and that'll go all the way until 11:45. So you folks in the greater Midlothian area, eastward through Ovilla and Red Oak, Waxahachie, and as far east as Ferris and Palmer, you are in that danger zone there, squarely in that tornado polygon. You need to be taking shelter here immediately. So if it's a mobile home park, you need to be in your designated shelter there, or perhaps if it's a friend's house, family member that lives very close by, you could head there as well to take cover. But here in the Midlothian area, wherever you are, you need to be hunkering down and taking shelter, not getting out of where you are and heading on the roadway. Allie?
The significant damaging wind threat is increasing rapidly on the rear flank, the downdraft winds for this cell, Dan. So we're talking winds potentially in excess of 80 miles an hour on the south side of Midlothian from the National Weather Service.
Yeah, and you know what? 80-mile-an-hour winds, that's the equivalent of a high-end EF0 or low-end EF1 tornado. Wind is wind. It doesn't matter if it's circulating or if it's blowing straight. If it's 80 miles an hour of wind, it's going to be equally destructive here. And you can see where this is rapidly moving eastward here on the south side of Midlothian. This is likely damaging wind now that is blowing across Highway 287 through the Midlothian area, and it is rapidly heading eastward towards Red Oak and also the Pecan Hill areas here. It's probably going to pass north of Waxahachie, but our highest threat of very strong winds now extends from Midlothian eastward towards Red Oak and Pecan Hill. So we believe that the tornado circulation has weakened. That could mean that the tornado has temporarily lifted, but even if it has, 80 miles an hour of wind is highly destructive here. That's the type of wind that could practically destroy a mobile home, down big trees and power lines and even structures, outbuildings for sure. Some buildings will sustain damage in winds like that as well. Certainly some roof damage, garage could be damages as well. But you can see these high winds still blowing eastward, and there still is some indication of rotation within this storm. And so they're going to let this tornado warning go here, but certainly we've got a dangerous storm still in our hands here that is moving through northern Ellis County. Some of the strongest winds now blowing through Midlothian, especially on the south side of town, and now south and southeast of Midlothian. Very strong winds. Notice where this is bowing out here. That's a sign of those potentially destructive winds occurring within this portion of the line of storms itself. You go a little farther north there, it is just heavy rain up in Cedar Hill and DeSoto, the Duncanville area, the severe weather threat much less up here in Dallas County than it is just south of there in Ellis County.
So there are some spotters, Dan, in Midlothian reporting power flashes, FM 1387 and Long Branch at this point. Obviously, it's impossible at this point to see if there is a tornado on the ground, but whether it's from the winds or a possible tornado still on the ground, power flashes reported, FM 1387 and Long Branch.
Yeah, so that's either a transformer that's being blown out or perhaps some power lines that are going down due to those winds themselves. But we certainly have damaging winds blowing through Midlothian and northern Ellis County as we speak. Whether that's a tornado or it's just very strong straight line winds, they are estimated at 80 miles an hour blowing through the northern Ellis County vicinity, especially around Midlothian here and Highway 67. And this is going to continue heading eastbound here. So heads up if you live out towards the Red Oak vicinity there in far northeastern Ellis County. You're going to be next in line for these very strong winds as this storm races off to the east at about 40 to 45 miles an hour. And our tornado warning does continue until 1145. Pecan Hill, 1136, Palmer, 1147, Rosser at just a few minutes after midnight, 12:03, and Kemp at about 12:21 as this line continues to barrel eastward here at about 40 to 45 miles an hour. 80-mile-an-hour winds are possible with this storm, as well as a potential tornado itself. So you can have both, actually. You can certainly have a tornado and straight line winds at the same time. And this storm continues to pose the highest threat of severe weather of any right now across North Texas. Let's give folks the big view very briefly here to show what's going on at this point in time. If you live north and west of Fort Worth, your severe weather threat is pretty much all over with. In fact, your rain is pretty much all over with. Even north of Dallas and Fort Worth, this area has been stabilized. It's been cooled by several hours of rainfall now. We're really not concerned about severe weather there. The severe weather threat will continue along this line of strong to severe storms and points to the south and southeast from now through as late as 2 o'clock in the morning. That tornado watch continues until 2 a.m. Our tornado warning continues for this line of storms. That rotation wrapped up very, very quickly in Johnson County initially, and now it's making its way through northern Ellis County here. It looks like it's passed now east of Midlothian. We believe we had a tornado for a time on the ground. We don't know for sure if that tornado is still on the ground. It's almost impossible to confirm at this late hour. We do know, according to spotters on the ground, they are witnessing power flashes. So that's either transformers that are being blown or perhaps power lines that are being downed by these very strong winds, estimated at up to 80 miles an hour. So even if we don't have a tornado, 80-mile-an-hour winds are the equivalent of a high-end EF0, maybe low-end EF1 tornado moving eastward now through northern Ellis County. So anywhere from just north of Waxahachie on up into the Red Oak area, Ovilla, back towards Midlothian. This is the area now that is most subject to the damaging winds. And then that is going to spread farther east towards Ferris and Palmer towards the I-45 area. Oh, probably in another 15 or 20 minutes from now, because this storm is booking. It's moving eastward at a good 40 to 45 miles an hour. Allie?
So just an update, as you noticed, Johnson County taken out of that tornado warning since the circulation we're watching is now well into Ellis County. This warning still goes until 11:45. At this point, this is radar indicated rotation. We do not have any confirmation of anything on the ground, and the debris signature not as impressive as it was as this was moving over Midlothian. So at this point, Unsure of whether there is something on the ground, but either way, even though this has broadened some, we're still thinking winds in excess of 70 miles an hour will be possible, moving towards the northern part of Waxahachie. So while at this point there is a tornado warning in effect, we're going to see a new severe thunderstorm warning issued because of those straight line winds potentially in excess of 70 miles an hour.
Yeah, hopefully that's a sign that the rotation signature is weakening. We still are holding on to this tornado warning for another 10 or 15 minutes. It's going to be expanded farther east from there by a severe thunderstorm warning, due to the fact that the rotation signature is not as strong or as evident as it was 15, 20, 25 minutes ago, but still high winds could be in excess now of 70 miles an hour. So we've backed off that a little bit. We were seeing a signature that indicated 80-mile-an-hour winds, and now perhaps 70-mile-an-hour winds that are blowing through the north side of Waxahachie in the next 5 to 10 minutes, and more than likely just south of Red Oak as well. So still a very high threat for damaging wind gusts here in northern Ellis County, and that's going to continue really for the next 20 to 30 minutes as this portion of the line continues to move eastward at about 40 to 45 miles an hour. Big view once again showing that the main severe weather threat at this hour continues from roughly Sulphur Springs, the Lake Tawakoni area, into southern portions of the Metroplex here, and then especially as you head into Ellis County. A little farther south and west, these are sub-severe storms as you head down into northern Bosque County here, around the Blum area and far northwestern Hill County as well. Heavy rain, cloud-to-ground lightning, gusty winds on the order of maybe 35 to 40 miles an hour. But this certainly is the storm that we are continuing to watch at this hour. And it's the one that is blowing through the north side of Waxahachie right now, especially where you see this bowing out here. That is indicating to us an enhanced area of very high winds that could be 60 to 70 miles an hour, capable of causing some significant damage, especially trees and power lines, outbuildings, certainly anything that's outside like a trampoline, trash cans, patio furniture is going to go airborne in winds like that. And this is making a beeline eastward towards the I-45 corridor here, probably in the next 15 to 20 minutes. So you folks in Ferris and Palmer, well, there you go. There's your severe thunderstorm warning now. That's been expanded farther east from Ferris all the way down through Palmer and Ennis, down towards the Rice area, and then even down towards Italy as well. So this whole line is moving eastward here. The southern portion of the line, we're talking about winds more in the order of 60 miles an hour. The northern portion here, up around Waxahachie, we're talking more about 60 to 70 mile per hour winds as this all continues moving eastward. Tracking it east puts it in Waxahachie at 11:35, about 6 minutes from now. Palmer, 11:46. Ennis at 11:57. Grays Prairie, 12:07. And Kemp at 12:20 in the morning. That's the leading edge of that line of severe thunderstorms that continues to plow eastward, and it is moving at a 40 to 45 mile per hour clip. Allie?
I am putting our velocity scan back on here. So the rotation is broad. That is a good sign. But with that being said, we could still have winds in excess of 70 miles an hour coming from this part of the storm. So many outdoor warning sirens sounding again. Unconfirmed report of an 18-wheeler flipped at the Loves in Midlothian. That's just north of 67 and 287. So that is unconfirmed at this point, but for now, we have not heard of any significant damage, but we will likely hear more about that as this line continues to make its way eastward, Dan. The tornado warning goes for 15 more minutes for Ellis County. And as long as there's a significant amount of rotation, we'll likely see this warning continue at least for the 15 minutes, and then that damaging wind threat continue with our severe thunderstorm warning that was issued until 12:15.
Yeah, and oftentimes our reports of damage are delayed. Half hour, 45 minutes, maybe even an hour, as it's still unsafe for folks to get out and survey what may be some wind damage on their property. That was the same story in Blue Ridge. Storms rumbled through there, and once they were about 30 or 45 minutes east of Blue Ridge, that's when we started seeing some of those reports of damage come streaming in here. But heads up, we still have that distinct severe weather threat in the form of high winds. It's going to continue here through much of Ellis County for the next 45 minutes or so, 60 to maybe up to 70-mile-an-hour winds. The higher end wind gusts will likely be on the north side of Waxahachie here, heading in the direction of Palmer, more like 60-mile-an-hour winds as you head south and southwest of the Waxahachie area. And according to our Doppler radar, that area of rotation has really broadened out. It's more diffuse. It's not as well defined. It just doesn't look like it did about 15 or 20 minutes ago when we likely did have at least a tornado briefly touch down. So good news here. We are really not seeing a well-organized area of rotation. That rotation has weakened significantly. That said, there are still some high winds blowing eastward in these storms as they cruise from Red Oak and Waxahachie in the direction of Palmer here over the next 10 to 15 minutes. Heavy rain, certainly. You're seeing these bright green or bright red colors. That's 2-inch-per-hour rainfall. Looks like a little hail core showing up here west of Maypearl. Likely quarters to maybe some $half there. Let's expand the view here. Head farther northward into Tarrant County. Our severe weather threat continues to slowly diminish here. If we are seeing some gusty winds, it's likely in southern portions now of Dallas County from DeSoto, heading eastward towards the Seagoville area. It is still raining up in Plano and McKinney, where a flash flood warning continues here. That's the green polygon. Farmersville and Roy City also in that flash flood warning. In fact, that goes all the way back into the Louisville area. There have been a few locations that have picked up in excess of 6 inches of rainfall here. Multiple high water rescues have already been reported this evening. The good news is there's your back edge of the rain there. Really from Gainesville to Sanger to Denton and Roanoke, that's where the rain really starts to come to an end. And we're going to see that end from west to east as we head through the next few hours. We still do, though, have a tornado watch that continues through 2 a.m. for the Dallas-Fort Worth area and points to the north and to the east. And we still have the potential as these storms head farther east and southeast to see more areas of rotation develop, and we could see spin-up tornadoes just like the one that apparently went through northern Johnson County into northwestern Ellis County. Obviously, we're going to have to wait until tomorrow with the light of day for crews to go out and survey any damage there may have been to confirm whether or not we had a tornado or not. We certainly did have one that appeared to look like it on radar here. And right now that rotation again has weakened sufficiently that the Weather Service believes that this is now just a sign of straight line winds and that our tornado threat has at least momentarily decreased quite a bit. Allie?
We are getting more reports of damage. Another confirmation that that 18-wheeler at the Loves in Midlothian did flip over. We also have reports of possible entrapment in a vehicle and power lines down in Johnson County on FM 917 and FM 731. So winds strong enough to blow a vehicle over. That could have very well been a tornado on the ground as that storm was exiting Johnson County and moving into Ellis County. So that's the area that we were watching. We'll head back to this storm. I want to add our velocity signature back on again just to look. This is likely a straight line wind issue for us at this point in time. While we still have very broad rotation, the winds could be in excess of 65 miles an hour moving out of Red Oak and heading to areas like Ferris and Palmer along Interstate 45. So those will be the next areas to be dealing with those intense winds, Dan.
Yeah, and for that reason, the severe thunderstorm warning was expanded. You can see it here outlined in yellow. That's our polygon that includes Ferris and Palmer and Ennis, almost to Rosser here, about as far to the east as Rice, and it goes back down to the south through Maypearl, and also into the Italy area. We're talking about wind gusts 60, maybe up to 65 miles an hour, especially along the very leading edge. Notice how sharply defined the leading edge of that line of storms is. We go from green to yellow to orange to red in a very short space, and that oftentimes is a sign that we've got very strong winds along the leading edge of that line of storms, and it continues to move eastward at a pretty good clip, 30 to 40 miles an hour here. The tornado threat appears to have diminished, certainly from what it was earlier tonight, as the rotation signature is just not as impressive or as obvious to us on radar. But as Ali has mentioned, it certainly does seem like we've had some wind damage here in Johnson County and northwestern Ellis County as an apparent tornado came through there, and some heavy-duty straight-line winds as well. But those winds continue to blow eastward here on the east side of Waxahachie now, heading towards Palmer is where this line is going to be moving towards, Ennis as well. And that threat will continue probably until about 11:45, maybe a little bit later than that here in Ellis County. Let's expand the view here once again to show you our line of storms that continues from all the way up around Clarksville, down through Sulphur Springs, into the Lake Tawakoni area, and it really intensifies down here on its southern flank in Ellis County, southern Johnson County, into far northern Hill County. And I think this is where the most potential now is over the next couple of hours to see high straight line winds and perhaps another isolated brief tornado spin-up or two. So that severe weather threat's going to continue for another probably 2.5 hours at least in our far eastern and southeastern counties. Remember, the tornado watch goes until 2 a.m. For this portion of North Texas. If you live up in Fort Worth and points west and northwest, your severe weather threat is pretty much over with now. Even farther northward into Collin County, where it's still raining, we don't really expect any more severe weather. We're just continue to be concerned about flooding here. And so we've got that flash flood warning that continues from, roughly Flower Mound in Louisville to Frisco, McKinney, Plano, all the way east through Farmersville and Nevada. Anywhere from 3 to 6 inches of rain has fallen, and it is still coming down here. We have, in some cases, believe it or not, we may have seen twice as much rain tonight as we'd seen from January 1st all the way up until this afternoon. Just incredible the amount of rain that has come down in these spots. There's a look at our remaining tornado watch. It's Dallas County, Ellis County, Corsicana area, and Navarro County, Kaufman County, Hunt County, and now points east. So we've taken out our northern counties out of that watch. So you folks in Denton County and Collin County no longer in the tornado watch. Our Red River counties also have been removed from the tornado watch. And if you live west of Dallas County, including Tarrant County and Johnson County, you as well are no longer in that tornado watch. But we still do have the potential of high winds and a spin-up tornado or two for areas east and southeast of Dallas through about 2 o'clock in the morning. Ali, you've been watching the
Yes.
chat session here. Any new information that you can share with us?
The good news is that they will allow the tornado warning to expire at 11:45. And the way our storms are oriented at this point is less favorable for severe potential, which is great, but we still have pockets of very strong winds and at least small hail possible as everything is moving eastward. Ellis County, as mentioned, still has the greatest potential for winds in excess of 60 miles an hour. So our tornado warning will expire here in about 5 or 6 minutes. The severe thunderstorm warning goes until 12:15, and those stronger winds, that leading edge, still where we could have those winds in excess of 60 miles an hour.
So here's a look at our radar. Once again, we're going to take a break in a couple of minutes from now, but let's sort of reset here. If you're just joining us very late, we still have a tornado watch in effect for Dallas County in points east and southeast until 2 a.m. North and west of Dallas County, that includes Tarrant County, Denton County, and Collin County, you have now been taken out of the tornado watch. The air has been stabilized and cooled for northern portions of the Metroplex, and so we don't see any more threat of a tornado. High winds, the main concern here for the rest of tonight. We still potentially could see a spin-up tornado as this line continues through our far eastern and southeastern counties. But as Ali said, conditions not quite as favorable now as they were earlier this evening for that to happen. Flash flooding, too, will continue to be a big threat where rain continues to come down here in highly populated areas of Dallas County and Collin County. Allie?
Yeah, and as you mentioned, Dallas County, pretty much the entire county will now be under a flash flood warning. So that is about to get issued from the National Weather Service, where we've seen several inches of rain fall in a very short period of time. So I'll just put that on. So especially central and northern parts where 2 to 3, even 4 inches of rain has fallen. So much of Dallas County will now be in a flash flood warning.
Yeah, and that you could see the rainfall bullseye there in those orange colors there as well. Several high water rescues have already taken place this evening. If you must travel, please use caution. It is almost impossible to judge how much standing water is on the roadway. Stay with us, short break, and then we'll be back to continue our coverage.